I want you to try a little thought experiment with me. Picture the brain of, say, an average CEO or a team leader.
Okay.
Now, let's rewind the clock about 10 years. Go back to, I don't know, 2014, 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Research suggests that back then, a typical corporate leader was probably focused on maybe 4 or 5 critical issues at any given time.
Which, to be fair, is already a juggling act.
Oh, absolutely. It's plenty. But it was manageable. It was a finite list. Now, flash forward to today.
Uh-huh.
That number hasn't just crept up, it has doubled. The cognitive load hasn't just increased. I mean, it's exploded.
Right.
We aren't just dealing with a standard quarterly earnings report or a competitor launching a new product. We are talking about the aftermath of a global pandemic, intense geopolitical fracturing.
A massive energy transition. And, oh yeah, the sudden explosion of generative AI upending entire industries almost overnight.
Exactly.
It creates this landscape of what we call constant fragmentation. And that is, well, that's exactly the context for the deep dive we are taking today.
Yeah, here he is.
We're unpacking a really massive, comprehensive report from McKinsey. It's titled The New Rules of Leadership for the 21st Century, and it was just published in October 2024 by Bob Sternfels and his colleagues.
And what really struck me about this report and, why I wanted to put it in front of you today is that it doesn't just admire the problem.
Right.
It doesn't just say, wow, things are crazy, good luck. It admits that the old playbooks, the stuff that worked in 2010 or even 2018, are basically failing us.
They are.
So the mission for this deep dive is to figure out exactly who survives this chaos.
Right. It's a survival guide. We're going to look at the specific attributes of these modern leaders, the character traits that actually work now.
Okay.
Then we're going to pivot to the craft, the actual execution tools. And finally, we'll get into something they call the leadership factory model, which is how you scale this across an entire organization.
So it's not just one person trying to save the ship.
Exactly.
And just to be clear for everyone listening, while the source material talks a lot about CEOs, this isn't just for the C-suite, is it?
No, not at all. Whether you're managing a small team, running a startup, or honestly just trying to lead yourself through a chaotic week, these rules apply. The cognitive load is hitting everyone, not just the people in the corner office. If you have people looking to you for answers, this is for you.
Absolutely. So let's start with the who. If the world is this messy, what kind of person actually handles it without cracking?
Yeah.
The report identifies 6 critical attributes. And I have to be honest, the first one caught me off guard because it sounds a little soft.
You're talking about positive energy and balance.
Right. It sounds like something you'd hear at a wellness retreat or maybe on a poster in a break room.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like hard-nosed business strategy.
It does sound that way initially, but you have to look at the physics of it. If you are leading a workforce that is mobile, post-pandemic, and dealing with that massive cognitive load we just mentioned, you cannot be running on fumes. This isn't just about good vibes or smiling more. It is about the discipline of protecting your own mind, body, and spirit so you have the reserves to inspire others.
So it's treating energy like a tangible resource, sort of like capital in the bank.
Exactly. Think about professional athletes. They don't train 24/7 without recovery. If they did, they'd get injured.
Sure.
Leaders or corporate athletes. The research shows that employees today are craving connection and authenticity. You cannot fake that if you are burnt out.
No.
If you are depleted, your decision-making suffers, your empathy suffers, and your team can smell it. So self-care moves from being a nice-to-have luxury to a strategic necessity.
That's a crucial shift. It's not selfish, it's maintenance. You're maintaining the machine.
You are.
And that leads perfectly into the second attribute, which flips the focus entirely outward, being a servant and selfless leader.
This is the antidote to the hero CEO of the 90s. You know, the archetype, the rock star who made it all about their genius, their vision, their magazine covers.
One who sucks all the air out of the room.
Precisely. The most effective leaders today focus entirely on the team's success. And here is the data point from the report that really drives this home.
Okay.
In a recent survey, 70% of employees said their work largely defines their sense of meaning.
70%. That is a huge percentage.
It is a massive weight. If you're a leader, you are essentially holding the keys to your team's sense of purpose. That is a profound responsibility.
Wow.
If you make the work about your ego or just about hitting a number so you get a bonus, you disconnect them from that meaning. You have to connect their daily grind, the spreadsheets, the meetings, to a broader positive impact.
So if you're hoarding credit, you're actually destroying value
You are.
because you're killing that sense of purpose.
Right. You are disengaging the very engine you need to run the company. You have to serve them, not the other way around.
Okay, so we have energy, the fuel, and selflessness, the orientation. The third attribute is where we get into the actual brain power. The report calls it continuous learning, or the humble mindset.
And the key word there is definitely humble. We've seen this played out on a massive scale with Satya Nadella at Microsoft.
Right.
When he took over, he famously shifted the culture from a know-it-all company to a learn-it-all company.
I love that phrase, learn it all. But let me play devil's advocate here. Doesn't admitting you don't know something make you look weak? Especially in a crisis. People want certainty.
That's the old playbook talking.
Yeah.
In a simple world, the leader is supposed to have all the answers.
Right.
In a complex, fragmented world, remember those 8 or 10 crises happening at once? It is literally impossible for one person to know everything. If you pretend you're the smartest person in the room, you become a liability.
You become a bottleneck for the truth.
Exactly. Vulnerability is a mechanism for information gathering. You have to be willing to ask questions and admit mistakes so that your team feels safe enough to tell you what's really going on.
Otherwise, they won't speak up.
If they think you have all the answers, they won't speak up when they see an iceberg.
Which brings us to attribute number 4, because admitting mistakes requires a seriously thick skin. This is grit and resilience.
Right. But the report makes a really important distinction here. It's not just enduring pain.
Okay.
It's not just suffering through the storm with a stiff upper lip. It's about being stoic, analyzing the root cause of a crisis, and then bouncing forward.
Bouncing forward. I like that image. So not just snapping back to where you were before.
No, because before doesn't exist anymore. The market has changed. The world has moved on. You adapt and improve.
And the stats back this up.
Significantly. Companies with decisive leaders who can commit to a decision amidst uncertainty are 4.2 times more likely to be healthy organizations.
4.2 times. That is statistically massive.
It is. It means paralysis is the enemy. You have to decide, learn, and pivot. You can't be frozen by the chaos waiting for perfect information.
Okay, attribute number 5. This is my absolute favorite, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is the one most leaders forget, or maybe they think it's unprofessional. Levity.
Levity.
Yes. Humor. The report actually quantifies the value of a joke.
It does. And it's fascinating because, again, we often think humor diminishes authority. We think serious business requires serious faces.
Of course.
But the data says leaders with a sense of humor are 27% more motivating.
27%. That's a better ROI than most software upgrades you can buy.
And teams working with them are twice as creative. Think about the biology of it. When you laugh, you relax. Your cortisol levels drop.
Right.
When you relax, your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for creative problem solving, works better. It diffuses stress.
So in a high-pressure environment, levity isn't a distraction.
It's a release valve.
So tell a dad joke. It's good for the bottom line.
Within reason, yes. It signals that we are in this together
Yeah.
and we are human. It breaks the tension so people can get back to work.
And finally, the 6th attribute, which grounds all of this. Stewardship.
This is the long game.
Sure.
It's the belief that you are just a temporary guardian of the institution.
Right.
Your job is to leave it in better shape than you found it. More sustainable, more relevant. It counters the short-termism that ruins so many companies.
It's moving away from quarterly capitalism to generational thinking.
Exactly. It's planting trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit.
So that's our character profile. We need a humble, funny, resilient, selfless steward with high energy. It sounds a bit like a unicorn.
It does.
But that's the goal we're aiming for.
It is the goal. And the good news is these are traits you can practice. You aren't just born with them.
That's a relief. Now let's pivot. That's who you are, but what do you actually do? The report transitions here from character to the craft, the execution. And the first point they make is about how you make decisions. It's not just command and control anymore.
No, the phrase they use is engage relentlessly. But be careful with that. They don't mean just having endless meetings or consensus building until everyone is happy.
Right, because that just slows everything down. Death by committee.
Exactly. They mean rigorous debate. The best leaders use specific tools to stress test their ideas, things like premortems.
I love a good premortem. For the listeners who haven't used this, instead of asking what could go wrong,
Right.
you assume the project has already failed.
Right. Say 2 years in the future.
You close your eyes, you imagine the disaster, and you ask, what did go wrong?
Precisely. It changes the psychological framing. It makes it safe to criticize the plan because the failure is hypothetical but treated as fact.
Interesting.
Or they use red team, blue team exercises where you assign a group specifically to attack the strategy.
So you're paying people to poke holes in your own logic.
In a complex world, you need to shatter your own echo chamber before the market does it for you. You have to simulate the failure so you can prevent it.
And once you've had that fight and you've made that decision, you need people to follow you.
But the report makes a distinction here that I think is really crucial.
Yeah.
It distinguishes between buy-in and enrollment. Aren't those just corporate synonyms for the same thing? You would think so, but the nuance is everything. Buy-in is passive. It's me nodding my head in a meeting and saying, sure, I agree with the plan.
It's external agreement.
Yes, and often people give buy-in just to get out of the meeting.
Yes, boss, whatever you say. Can I go to lunch now?
Right. Enrollment is internal. If I am enrolled, I am self-disciplined. I am personally motivated to carry out the mission, whether you are watching me or not. I own the outcome.
Okay, so how do you spot the difference?
Think about the difference between a renter and an owner. A renter calls the landlord when the sink breaks.
Right.
An owner fixes it because it's their house. Leaders often settle for buy-in because it's easier to get. You just need a yes. But enrollment is what drives execution when things get tough.
That is a great analogy. You want a company of owners. Now, to get that enrollment, you need trust. You can't enroll in a vision if you don't trust the visionary.
Absolutely.
And here's where the report gets surprisingly mathematical. They bring up the trust equation.
Yes, this comes from Charles H. Green. It's a brilliant way to diagnose why a team might not trust you. And it really is an equation. I want everyone listening to picture a fraction in your head.
Okay, I'm visualizing a fraction.
In the numerator, the top part, you have 3 things multiplied together: credibility, reliability, and intimacy.
Okay.
So, credibility, do you know your stuff? Reliability, do you do what you say? Intimacy, do I feel safe sharing with you?
So you want those numbers as high as possible. You want to be the expert who always delivers and makes people feel safe.
Right. But here's the kicker. The denominator, the bottom number, is self-orientation.
Self-orientation. So how much I'm thinking about myself.
Exactly. And because it's the denominator, it has a multiplier effect on the negative side. If your self-orientation is high, it divides the whole score.
Wow.
You could be the most credible, reliable expert in the world. You could have a PhD and a perfect track record. But if I sense that you are ultimately doing this for yourself, for your bonus, your reputation, your ego, your trust score plummets towards 0.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
It explains why some brilliant leaders fail. They have the top half of the fraction locked down, but their ego kills the bottom half.
Precisely. It goes right back to that servant leadership trait. If the denominator is huge, the trust is tiny.
George Shultz, the former Secretary of State, is quoted in the report on this. He said, "Trust is the coin of the realm."
When trust is in the room, good things happen. When it's not, nothing happens. It's the lubricant for everything else. Without it, you're just grinding gears no matter how good your strategy is.
So we have the character, the traits we need. We have the craft, the tools like premortems and the trust equation. But how do you scale this?
Right.
How do you build a company where this happens automatically, not just because one person is good at it?
This is where the report gets into the structure, and they use a specific term, the leadership factory.
Which sounds a bit industrial, but walk us through it.
The concept actually goes back to the 1980s. Ron Daniel, a former McKinsey partner, coined it. The idea is that a company shouldn't just produce widgets or services. Its primary product should be leaders. It's a system where current leaders are responsible for building the next generation.
But the 2024 update to this concept has some really interesting twists. The first one being, who does the teaching?
Right. In a true leadership factory, you don't outsource development to HR. You don't just hire a vendor to do a workshop once a year.
So senior leaders are the teachers.
They have to be. They run the immersion sessions. They share their scars.
I think that's the key phrase, sharing the scars. It's not just reading a textbook. It's the CEO sitting down and saying, here is where I messed up in 2015. Here is what it cost us, and here's what I learned.
It creates that intimacy we just talked about in the trust equation. It shows vulnerability. It turns the company's history into a learning asset. It says it's okay to fail as long as you learn.
Another update to the model is don't wait.
Yes. The old model was often wait until they are ready. You nurture them slowly, you protect them. The new model is take your high potential people and throw them into uncomfortable situations immediately.
Sink or swim.
Guided swim, I'd say. You give them the tough assignment, turn around this failing unit, launch this product in a new market, but you provide the mentorship. You test them early because you need to know if they have that grit before the stakes get existential. You can't find out if someone is resilient when the entire company is on the line. You need to know now.
There's one specific story in the report that really illustrates the lead self aspect of this factory model. It's about Admiral Eric Olson and the Navy SEALs. This one really stuck with me.
It's a profound story.
It challenges that tough guy stereotype.
It does. So Admiral Olson was leading the U.S. Special Operations Command. Now, these are the toughest warriors on the planet, elite of the elite.
Of course.
But he went on a listening tour and realized that under the surface, the force was fraying.
Fraying how?
Emotionally, psychologically. The operational tempo, the constant deployments was just destroying them. He realized that readiness wasn't just about having the best guns or the best tactical training.
It was about the human resource.
Exactly. It was the foundation.
So what did he do? Because usually the military solution is train harder or suck it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he went the other way. He prioritized resources that the military usually overlooked: nutritionists, physical therapists, psychologists.
Wow.
He realized he had to lead self before others. You have to secure the foundation of the human being before you can expect them to perform at an elite level.
It's that oxygen mask rule again. You have to put yours on first.
Precisely. And in a corporate context, that means the CEO has to act as the chief talent officer. You can't delegate the health of your people. If your people are fraying, your strategy doesn't matter.
The report also mentions one last group that leaders need to look out for in this factory model: the Mavericks.
Ah, the Mavericks.
Which sounds cool in a movie. Everyone wants to be Maverick in Top Gun. But in practice, Mavericks are usually a pain in the neck to manage, aren't they?
Oh, they are difficult.
They don't follow the rules.
They ignore process, they challenge authority, they ask why when you just want them to do what. But the report argues that CEOs must protect them because they are often the ones driving the future.
Because they aren't trapped in the way we've always done it.
Exactly. If you crush the Mavericks with bureaucracy, you crush innovation. Corporate culture naturally acts like an immune system. It tries to kill anything foreign or different. The leader's job is to stop the immune system from killing the Mavericks. You end up with a very compliant, very efficient company that is slowly going obsolete if you lose them.
So if you're a leader listening to this and you're looking around your team, who is the annoying one? Who is challenging the status quo?
That person might be your most valuable player. Or at least they are the one who will prevent you from sleepwalking into irrelevance.
So let's try to bring this all together. We've covered a lot of ground. We are looking at a world that is, twice as complicated as it was 10 years ago. We've got the 6 attributes, the tools of the craft, and the factory structure.
And if you look at all of that, that complexity demands a paradox. That's the real synthesis here. The 21st century leader has to be a walking contradiction.
A walking contradiction.
You have to be humble enough to admit you don't know, but decisive enough to lead through the fog. You have to be serious about the mission, but have enough levity to keep the team sane.
And you have to take care of yourself.
So that you can be completely selfless for others.
It's a tall order. It's not either anymore. It's both hand. And the report ends on a bit of a reality check, doesn't it?
It does.
It basically says, don't expect it to get easier.
No, they explicitly state that 2025 and 2026 will likely be just as challenging. The only certainty is uncertainty. If you are waiting for things to go back to normal, you are going to be waiting a long time.
The leadership factory isn't a luxury.
It's a survival mechanism.
I want to leave our listeners with a quote from the report that I think captures the emotional weight of this. It's from Douglas MacArthur. He talked about the loneliness of leadership. He said, "The roar of the crowd on the one side and the voice of your conscience on the other."
It's a beautiful reminder that at the end of the day, all those frameworks, all those equations, all the data, they serve your conscience. You have to make the call that you can live with.
So here's our question for you to chew on as you go about your week. Think about that trust equation we discussed. Credibility times reliability times intimacy, divided by self-orientation. Which part of that equation are you neglecting right now? Are you reliable but distant? Are you credible but too focused on your own career?
Identifying that weak link, that denominator, is the first step to fixing it.
Thanks for diving in with us. Keep learning, keep laughing, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.
Take care.